Hello, welcome to another annual Cinema Savvy Trend where we will be doing our Oscar predictions or the Academy Award predictions, whatever you want to call them, for the 2018 Academy Awards, which have gone up this week. I'm doing the intro for once. As you can tell, I'm stumbling. We have Chris, who is fighting through the pain. He's come on the show. He's clearly ill, which is why I'm stumbling through an introduction. And we have, returning from the mountains hidden in Austria, we have a Tayte joining us before he returns back to his villainous Bond lair for some more skiing. But how are we? We're reunited. I can't actually remember last time you were where.
Yeah, it's been a while. When actually, was it a review of some kind we did?
Were we back in Britain? I would have been back in Britain at the time, I reckon.
Was it Star Wars? It must have been after Star Wars,
surely. Star Wars.
It may have been Star, because I've done reviews with you, Tate, like Coco and Living Vincent, but with all three of us on, I'm not sure. It's been a while.
Well, we're here. It's Oscars. We're not going to miss this one. And as usual, we're going to go through all of our predictions for our predictions game. For anyone new to the channel who hasn't sort of been with us years, it's fun. Every year we do a massive Oscar stream where we're doing a watch along to the Oscars, and on Oscar night, to make it a bit competitive, a bit of fun, besides mocking like the La La Land mistake at the end and stuff like that, we have a we're very competitive on this challenge. You can tell with stuff like Battle of the Brackets. And the Oscars is where really, I guess, it all began, the competitiveness. We do a predictions game, and we'll be going into details. But what we want to say is we want everyone listening, everyone watching, we want you to send us your list of predictions for the 2018 Academy Awards. And we will be giving whoever wins the chance to appear on a future show, probably Battle of the Brackets episode like last time, which is always great fun. It's our favorite show on the channel, and we will work around whatever country you're from. If you're America, we'll do it later on. That's the way we like to do things. So follow this. Send us in your complete list of predictions, a first choice and second choice, like what we're going to go through. We're going to go over the rules now, but send them in later on across the next month. Even the day before the Oscars, we'll make sure it's on. We'll be reminding you on our videos and social media. But what I guess we could say is that if you send us your two predictions, your first choice and your second choice.
Yeah.
Your first choice is right, you get 3 points. If your second choice is right, you get 1 point. Of course, it tallies up as the evening goes along, and then we have a winner. Between us three, I've won it once, Tate's won it once, Chris is on the 0. This year, I know who's the most competitive because we've been talking beforehand already. But I guess, do we kind of go into it? I mean, we haven't read the news for a while, so what we can say is the Oscar award, the nominations are out this week. We're not going to go through every single award, as in all 5 of them. We're literally just going to say the award, our first and second choice picks, so that we've got it for the system, because this isn't a long video. This is more or less just our predictions, and we want you to send in yours as well. Have I missed anything else out?
No, I was just going to say before we get into it that this is probably one of the most open year for Academy Awards in a long time since I can remember. The other years, there's always that one movie or maybe 2 movies that are the front runners. This is completely open across the board. I don't think we're going to have that outright trio combination of, you know, was it best director, best film, and best screenplay, or whatever it usually is. So no, it's all to play for, but it's going to be interesting.
Definitely.
For me, as the reigning champion, I would like to do something which I have not done yet with the Battle of the Brackets, and that's win it more than once.
Is that one in
20 almost now for the Battle of the Brackets, which is ridiculous.
We do have an updated scorecard. We'll use this to plug yesterday's show. We debated the greatest movie villain of all time. No spoilers here, but it was fun. And looking back on it, there was a gigantic mistake on my behalf, but we'll talk about it another time. But check out that was fun, competitive, a good laugh as usual. I'm not going to go into details on who was on the channel, because some of them we can't even name because of legal reasons, basically. So he wasn't on our channel. He was a character on the channel. Let's get that right. God. Should we start our predictions?
Let's get on with it.
Right. I'll go, because the spreadsheet, I'll go first, Chris will go second, Tate will go third. So it's a round table. So first up, we have best visual effects. My first choice is War for the Planet of the Apes. My second choice is Blade Runner 2049.
I'm exactly the same. First choice, War for the Planet of the Apes. Second, Blade Runner.
I'm going to be really boring and say exactly the same. War for the Planet of the Apes and Blade Runner 2049 is my third choice.
That's fine.
We have our first category that is just completely void.
It's an obvious winner, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Second category, best production design. My first choice is The Shape of Water. My second choice is Dunkirk.
I'm exactly the same. Is this going to be like one of our most boring predictions lists?
Okay.
It changes
No. My first choice is Shape of Water. My second choice is Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, okay.
Okay, one change in 6.
One
predictions.
change right there.
Best score. Now this is going to be different. Number 1 for me is Dunkirk, The Man Hands. Number 2 is The Shape of Water.
Fucking hell. We're 3 for 3 so far. Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. What I should say as well, a lot of these films on the list, like when we get to the foreign films, documentary, we haven't seen those. And there's still a lot of films for us in the UK that haven't come out yet, like The Shape of Water, like I, Tonya, and a whole host of ones.
For me, a different choice. For best score, I'm going with Shape of Water as my number 1 pick and Dunkirk as my number 2.
Okay.
So we just have a role reverse like last time. This is where it's going to really change now. Yeah.
This is where we just pick our favorite title, right?
Best
No.
foreign...
This is where I do research.
This is where Tate does research, and he only still wins by like 1 point. Just like by the brackets, he does his research.
Was it Suicide Squad that gave him that win last time?
That was the win. That was the winning element last year by me choosing Suicide Squad as the winner.
The less we forget about it, the better. Yes. True story. Justice League nominated for nothing this year. Some people were outraged. I'm not one of them. Best foreign film. My first choice is The Square. My second choice is Loveless.
Okay, we have a change. So my first pick is The Square. Second choice is On Body and Soul.
My first choice is A Fantastic Woman, and my second choice is The Square.
Okay. Now,
that means something to someone out there.
That means something to me right now.
Translated, they probably sound even better. Best editing. For me, first choice, Dunkirk. Second choice, Baby Driver.
I flipped it. So number 1, Baby Driver. Number 2, Dunkirk.
And mine is first choice, Dunkirk. Second choice, Baby Driver.
Sound mixing. First choice, Dunkirk. Second choice, Baby Driver.
Sound mixing for me, I've got Dunkirk as number 1, Blade Runner 2049 as 2.
I've got Dunkirk as number 1 and Baby Driver as number 2.
Sound editing. Dunkirk as number 1. Shape of Water for number 2.
I've echoed what I did before. Dunkirk as number 1, Blade Runner 2049 as 2.
And Dunkirk number 1, Blade Runner 2049 as number 2.
Lord Nolan's getting some awards. Live action shorts. Oh, I love these. The Silent Child was my first choice. And the second one is The 11 O'Clock.
I've got exactly the same.
My number 1 choice is The Calb Elementary as number 1 and The Silent Child as number 2.
Okay, we're almost there. Animated short. Dear Basketball is my first choice. Number 2, because it sounds like a great TV program from when I was younger. Revolting Rhymes.
Yes. Was that
Grizzly Tales for
Grizzly Tales? Yes. Oh my god. Animated short, number 1, I've got Lou. Number 2, I've got Dear Basketball.
And number 1, I have Dear Basketball, and number 2, I have Lou.
Best song. Number 1, This Is Me. Number 2, Remember Me.
Exactly the same. And the fact that I've gave The Greatest Showman a number 1 pick breaks my heart because I really didn't.
Number 1, Remember Me. Number 2, This Is Me.
Makeup, where there's only 3 nominees, and somehow Suicide Squad was the best last year, apparently. Number 1, Darkest Hour. Number 2, Wonder.
Exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
Yeah, that's a given.
I'm feeling more confident this year. Usually I'm like way off on the picks. I feel like I'm more in the game this time.
I don't know.
This is where it changes. Documentary short, Heroin brackets E. Number 2, Knife Skills, because why not?
I've got Edith and Eddie, and number 2 is Heaven is a Traffic Jam on the 405.
I've gone with exactly the same as Chris. Edith and Eddie and Heaven is a Traffic Jam.
Okay. Best documentary, Strong Island, number 1, and number 2, a famous Bond villain device, Icarus.
Because I like Greek mythology, I've gone with Icarus for number 1. Number 2, I've gone Faces, Places.
For documentary, I have Faces, Places number 1 and Icarus number 2.
For best costume, Phantom Thread as my number 1 and Shape of Water for number 2.
I've gone with Beauty and the Beast for number 1 and Shape of Water for 2.
I've gone for Phantom Thread 1 and Beauty and the Beast 2.
I mean, if it doesn't win, isn't it insulting that a film about making dresses is actually
that's pretty
not going to win? But that's the only award it'll win if it does. Anyway, best cinematography. Number 1, Dunkirk. Number 2, Blade Runner 2049.
I've gone for Blade Runner 2049 as number 1. Number 2, The Shape of Water.
I've gone for Blade Runner 2049 as number 1 and Dunkirk as number 2.
Original screenplay. I think this is where it really gets obvious. Three billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. And then, number 2. Sorry, it's so long you think it's 1. And number 2, Get Out.
I've got 3 billboards as number 1, number 2, The Shape of Water.
I've got 3 billboards at number 1 and Lady Bird at number 2.
Best adapted screenplay. Well, I feel like the nominee people, don't I? I'm going to pronounce them in their full names. Call Me By Your Name as number 1. And number 2, why not Disaster Artist?
Adapted, I've got number 1, Molly's Game, because it's Aaron Sorkin. And 2, I've gone with Logan, because I would really like to see a comic book win it. That was my sort of like fanboy pick there out of all of them.
I've got Call Me By Your Name at number 1 and Disaster Artist at number 2.
Can we talk about how Logan, very quickly, was the only comic book film that's not The Dark Knight to be nominated for something relevant in the Oscars?
What was Dark Knight?
Yeah.
Oh, it was just Heath Ledger.
Best supporting actor.
Yeah.
Anyway, amazing moment. We'll discuss that on the Oscars night. We're digging that live stream. Best director. Now that the bias commenced. Number 1, Sir Christopher Nolan. Number 2, Guillermo del Toro.
Number 1, I've got Guillermo, and 2, Christopher Nolan.
I've got del Toro at number 1 and Nolan at 2.
Best supporting actress. Number 1, Alison Janney. Number 2, Laurie Metcalf.
I've got Alison Janney, and 2,
Janie.
Leslie Manville.
I've got exactly the same as George, so it's Alison Janney and Laurie Metcalf at number 2.
Best supporting actor. There's only really one contender in this, but Sam
Yeah,
Rockwell was my first choice, and number 2 is Willem Dafoe.
I've got Sam Rockwell as number 1 and Christopher Plummer as number 2.
I've got Sam Rockwell as number 1 and Willem Dafoe as number 2.
Best actress. Again, this is already one. Frances McDormand at number 1 and Meryl Streep number 2.
Oh, see, number 2, I went with Sally Hawkins. So number 1, Frances McDormand, 2, Sally Hawkins.
Best actress, I've got Frances McDormand at number 1. I've got Saoirse Ronan at number 2.
Your Irish heartthrob, isn't it, Tate?
Well, here's the things. My research tells me that Saoirse Ronan actually has good odds at the moment.
Your research said that La La Land was going to win Best Film at the 2017 Academy Awards.
Well, it did for like a minute.
Justice. He did get his 1 minute of fame, and everyone forgot it after. Best actor, again, number 1, Gary Oldman. Number 2, Timothée Chalamet.
Number 1, I got Gary Oldman. Number 2, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Number 1, Gary Oldman. Number 2, Timothée.
The fact he's like a child and he's probably he's a favourite. Best animated film. Number 1, Coco. Number 2, Loving Vincent.
This was the toughest one for me. I've gone with exactly the same. Coco number 1, Loving Vincent as 2.
Yeah, exactly the same.
But we've discussed this in our reviews. We think that Loving Vincent probably should take it, but I think more than likely it's going to be Coco that gets it.
It's surprising. There is a third film which is starting to gain a bit more traction, which is The Breadwinner. Which I hadn't actually heard of. I believe it's an Israeli film of some sort. But that's starting to get more traction, but I'm still going with Coco and Loving Vincent.
Yeah. I don't think that Disney and Pixar combo is going to be broken for any time soon.
We get The Incredibles 2 this year too. Best film of the 2018 Oscars. My first choice, and I'll explain why after, is 3 Billboards. My second choice is Dunkirk. What I will say, 3 Billboards should win, but on the upside, Dunkirk does. I will probably cry live on YouTube, but it won't. It's going to be 3 Billboards.
I really don't know if I'm confident with this. Number 1, I've gone 3 Billboards. Number 2, I've gone Shape of Water. But usually the case, like 3 Billboards, is there's always one film that's the favorite, and then it gets to the result, and it's always one that you really kind of don't want to win. And I think that might be the case again this year.
I am going with Shape of Water at number 1 and Lady Bird at number 2. I genuinely think Lady Bird has a really big chance at the moment, purely because it had a little bit of traction. And I know that Shape of Water and 3 Billboards is gaining a lot of buzz at the moment. But Lady Bird has silently gone underneath the radar, and it's picking up a bit more steam. People are starting to recognize it more, and it's the kind of film that Oscar voters usually go for.
And I think that comes out mid-February for us, doesn't it? So me and you, Tate, if you want to see if we can get a review out for that when it comes out.
Definitely.
I will see that too.
Unless, George, you want to see it as well?
I will sit. I'm interested in the Oscars this year. Normally, I literally skip every Oscar film and just come onto the live stream.
Is that all of the that's all
that's
categories?
all of the
everything,
categories, and that is our nominations to the 2018 Academy Awards over. So we're going to round out quickly with again. Send us in your predictions. We have an email. Send it to us as a message on Facebook, a DM on Twitter. Don't do Instagram because that's way too many words, and we don't care about that. As in replying on that one. That sounds bad. Anyway, so any predictions, email them, Facebook, Twitter us them. All of these, if you've watched the video, you'll have known every single one. Go on Wikipedia if you need to know the Oscar nominations. And if you send it them and they're not complete, I'll just send you a message saying, hey, you forgot this one, here are the nominees. And on the Oscar nights, we will be going through, we will be updating throughout the night. We'll use this to not only plug our Oscar live stream, but check out our Oscars playlist on the YouTube channel. We've updated it now, so we have everything we've reviewed that is nominated for, I don't want to say an Oscar, but at least
at least one.
At least one, or it's got Oscar traction. And go for that playlist. So we've got stuff banked from July last year with Dunkirk. We've got Blade Runner. We've got The Post. We've got 3 Billboards. We've got animated films. We've got Loving Vincent, Coco. We never did a review for Get Out, so that's on our list to do. And we will be updating that across the next 5 or 6 weeks now. Is that? It's 5 weeks. So we're going to be updating that playlist. So when it gets to Oscar night, our channel have covered everything. We've got our predictions video. And that's kind of the Oscar prediction hype. Check out Battle of the Brackets. We will be returning with a new episode sometime near the Oscars. And it's going to be for the best film that did win best film at the Oscars, because last year we did best film that didn't, that was nominated. So we have a lot more stuff coming. We've been very busy with the Oscars, so we've had no news or reactions, but over the coming weeks, we will slowly try to bring them back out. But right now, the focus is the Academy Awards. It's award season. This is what people are here for.
And really quickly, sorry, are we going to plug our email address, or did you say we're going to do Facebook and Twitter?
Do Facebook and Twitter, because you have to go on our Facebook to find our email. I think, just do Facebook. It's a lot easier and quicker to communicate.
So links are in the description down below for those guys. So check those out and send in your predictions.
Yes, and if you don't know the names of the categories, just send us another message and we'll just send them all over as well. But that is our Oscar predictions for this year. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. As Tate would say, hit that bell so that every time we go live, the minute it's been a lot of reviews, straight to your phone or email, because we'll get you on both, because we don't hide back. And then you will be joining us on our lovely channel where we just talk nonsense. We talk about your favorite films of the year, films we hate that will break your heart, and everything else in between. But no, this is our Oscar predictions. I'm not used to doing outros. Chris is ill. Thanks for listening, and Tate's going to go skiing. Adios.